have a responsibility employed. Because, all right, we're looking at more headlines this morning. Return of Naira for crude deal raises table petrol price hope. And then we have Edu 6 intra-Africa trade to survive tariff regimes, management system for OSGF. And then Navy arrests 27 peddlers in raid of Apapa drug haven. And then we have 28,000 PD oil terminals shot by protesters. And then Nadi NLC Apapa battle for grip of LP with Abure. Labour Party, of course, with Abure. These are conversations that we are going to be having right here on the newspaper headlines this morning. And I'm sure you are ready to be a part of the conversation, because we are the voice of the people and our responsibility is to give you a voice. And this is the platform for you to air your opinion. And then on another headline this morning, we have Nigeria posts $6.83 billion balance of payment surplus in 2024. This comment is coming from the CBN. And then crude oil price crashes, puts 2025 federal government revenue target in jeopardy. And then will Fubara return academic publishing, navigating open access and digital platform by Ruth Oji. And then enough of horror on Otedola Bridge in Lagos. And then we have reemergence of anthrax. And then we have Nigeria is diminished with Akpabio as Senate President by Olufasin. And then China slams 84% extra tariff on US as Trump responds with additional 21%. And of course, when Trump made the tariff increase, so I want to believe this particular conversation is going to be going on for a while. So why don't we brace ourselves, get ready for what is coming. And then of course we are yet to understand, because the minister said they are yet to come to terms with how the particular tariff increase is going to affect Nigeria. So we're still waiting for their conversation, even though it's not going to benefit. Some people were saying it's going to export things. And then in Nigerian government, the conversation is still a little sketchy, but yes, the conversation is going to go on, and we're hoping that they come to a final conclusion of how this Trump tariffs changes a lot for us. And like I said, Rufai Oseni will be joining us, or is joining us right now to have the conversation on stories making the round. Good morning, Mr. Rufai, this very fine morning, and I hope you have got a lot for us this morning.
All right, a couple of stories making the rounds today. The very first story is the fact that Lamidi Apapa has now taken over the reins of the Labour Party after all of the Supreme Court judgment, which is also an aberration. Because when you look at what has happened today,
yes,
and the Supreme Court judgment, it's very clear that Abure does not stand a place any longer in the Labour Party. So why is Lamidi Apapa, now taking over? That's another incident going on in the Labour Party as we speak, as a fallout of the Supreme Court judgments. And you see, after the meeting today of the Labour Party in Abuja, you should think that the Labour Party should be well on its way to clearing their acts. But it looks as though nothing is going to happen. And it looks as though that this drama is going to have many layers to it. And that's exactly what we are seeing here. So that story is making the round. Very funny one. Let's see how all of this pan out in the coming days. Some people are still arguing that Abure should be there after the Supreme Court ruling. Some are saying that the Supreme Court ruling has ejected Abure.
Yes.
Let's see how it pans out. Another story making the rounds is that of Niger.
Yeah.
Niger has now adopted Hausa as the official language rather than French, because you can see that Niger has been trying to cut off any vestiges of the French colonialism all this while, and that has been on since Tijani did take over. But we must also collectively condemn military rule across the African continent. Yes, Tijani might do this and it might seem popular among some people in Niger, but it's not a good one that we have military rule in our African countries, because military rule is an aberration. It's not supposed to be the norm. It's not supposed to be the order of the day It's
Okay.
because we have a lot of challenges on the African continent. That's why we're having this. No to that aberration called the military rule. And the military junta has no place in that very sad incident of killings across the country.
Every part of the
We keep talking about it because a couple of other people too were abducted in Zamfara State, and we keep calling on the government to do the needful as regards the plight of these people. Ensure that these people are given a veritable means of living. Also, coming back to Nigeria's economy, the Nigerian budget now has been affected because of this Trump tariff. Crude oil prices dropped up to about $55-56 per barrel during trading today. And it speaks volumes because the budget benchmark is over $75 per barrel. So if the budget benchmark is $75 per barrel and crude oil prices have dropped $56 per barrel, definitely it's going to affect our budget. So we call on all those in authority to do something about the state of play of our economy. Why all of this is happening? The Nigerian government has finally said that crude for Naira scheme will work because we have condemned them that the stoppage in the first place that affected Dangote, that made it difficult for Dangote not to be able to sell its own crude in Naira because they cannot get crude in Naira, is a bad one. Because you can see the way prices of petroleum products have jacked up and the likes. So they are saying that they're going to go back to that crude for Naira deal, because we all remember we talked about the fact that yes, once the expiration of that crude for Naira deal did come, then it posed a lot of problems. So we are happy about that. They should sell crude in Naira to refiners like Alhaji Aliko Dangote, so that in turn a lot of Nigerians will be able to buy at reasonable prices. Because of the Naira sale of crude. And we are happy that Dangote has finally able to find that battle on we. Let's quickly go to Kano. I think it is very laughable that Emir Sanusi is now being blamed for the killing of an individual there, and the police is calling him to speak in the first place. Why would even the police be inviting him to share his own side over the story? The police did say that they did not want any Durbar, and no Durbar was done in the end. And when no Durbar was done, then somebody was killed after he had finished marching, or he had marched out, and then they are now saying he should come and account for, or he should come and explain his own side of the story. What does he need to explain? And this impasse as regards Kano is a very sad development, and we should do everything as much as possible, to be able to settle this problem, where we have two people, laying claim to the throne in Kano. But it's a very sad one, and it's a very sad one for our country at large.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rufai Oseni, for joining us this morning to give analysis on the stories making the rounds. And of course, you can also be a part of the conversation by calling, texting, or sending a WhatsApp message to the numbers 0808 3128618 is the number for you to do that this morning. Or you can watch us live on YouTube at VOP961 Abuja. You can watch us live on YouTube. We're right there, and you can view, drop your comments, and of course share your thoughts right here on the front page review this morning. And looking at other headlines this morning, just like Rufai has said, the federal government has confirmed that crude and refined product sales in Nigeria initiative will continue as national policy, and this assurance was contained in the official X handle of the Federal Ministry of Finance on Wednesday morning, amid growing inquiries on the status of the policy. And then we also have presidential candidates of the Labour Party in the 2023 election says the poverty in the land has assumed a worse dimension, such that those offering him things in the past now beg him for assistance. Speaking at the National Executive Committee meeting and expanded stakeholders summit of his party at Transcorp Hilton in Abuja on Wednesday, Obi said the time had come for Nigeria to be rescued. And then the Nigeria Labour Congress has directed its members to mobilize ahead of taking over offices of the Labour Party nationwide following the Supreme Court's ruling that sacked Julius Abure as national chairman of the party. And in a statement by its president Joe Ajero, the NLC directed the LP National Executive Committee to appoint an interim leadership which will conduct an inclusive special national convention for the party. And then we have the price of Bonny Light. Nigeria's premium oil grade on Wednesday dropped by 5.09% to 59.62 per dollar per barrel in the global market, at the backdrop of the ongoing ripples created by the tariff war that has followed a series of tariff hikes announced by the United States. And then we also have 2 farmers have been killed by suspected herdsmen in 2 separate attacks in the communities of Gwe, the West local government area of Benue State. Confirming the incident, chairman of Gwe West, Mr. Victor Omi, who lamented the situation, disclosed that a young man was killed at Tarakunaka road while trying to get roofing materials for his house, and another person was murdered along the Adokanaka axis. And these are conversations that keep going on in the aspect of insecurity. The protection of lives and property is the first responsibility of the government to its people, and I would always emphasize on this. You employ these people, we employed them into office to have our best interests at heart, and the first thing they are supposed to do is to make sure that we are secured and we are safe. That is the important factor. That is everything that should be put as priority. Every other thing at this point is inconsequential when the people that you feel you are representing are not safe. Like we said over the mixed grill yesterday at 8, where we were discussing with Jude, and he said before it was a Northwest issue, it was just in the Northwest. We'll just watch it over the news. If you're in other parts of the country, we'll just watch it over the news and we're like, okay, this thing is happening. Or what do? We come on social media, we discuss, we call out on the government. Now it has moved to every part of the country. Every state now complains of insecurity. Show me a state or mention a state that does not have either the issue of banditry, issue of killings, murder, kidnapping every day. It seems like we no longer have the privilege or the opportunity to travel from one state to another because of the rate of insecurity of the country. Now it is it was Zamfara a few days ago, and then day before yesterday it was Jos, and we keep redeploying and redeploying security operatives to go to these places, and sometimes even with the presence of the security operatives in this environment, we still hear the high rate of killings in that environment. You'd hear after a particular kingpin was killed, there was a retaliation, there was this, and the people are in the middle. Nigerians are in the middle of this thing. It's like it's a competition now between the security operatives and these people. So what is if we are quick to, well, when it comes to the economic situation, we are quick to borrow, we are quick to collect monies, we are quick to go to the World Bank, okay, give me money, do this. But when it comes to the case of insecurity, we are not taking it as seriously as it should be. Let's not even talk about the cases of insecurity that are unreported. These are the ones that are reported. These are the ones that we see. These are the ones that we know of. What about the rest? This should be taken seriously. It should be taken seriously, and we hope that the president, and the Minister of Defense and all of that, everybody that is in. President Muhammadu Buhari has advised those in leadership position to attach more importance to the welfare of the people than their personal welfare, just like we said. And the former president also said that he left office as president with the same physical asset he had before his election. Political stakeholder right now, and we should be expecting right now your asset that well, if you're trying to say you were not involved in any corrupt activity, well, we are happy. We are happy for that. But right now, what you should be emphasizing on and hammering on is yours. It is still your party that is in power, and I feel you have a responsibility to lend your voice, let your voice be heard when it comes to the how Nigeria is being governed. All right, we also have Mr. Festus Keyamo, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, says the federal government will launch an e-visa system and digital landing exit card to enhance national security. He disclosed this on Wednesday in Abuja when he received a delegation led by Minister of Interior Mr. Olubumi Tunji Ojo. According to Keyamo, the e-visa system will enable applicants to submit visa requests online and upload required documents electronically. And then the Ondo State Police Command has declared that the 3 headless bodies found floating in the river between Ore and Udigo communities on Sundays were likely dumped there by unidentified individuals from outside the state or carried to the location by rivers current. Right now, it would even bring us to the conversation of why we don't have cameras everywhere. We have street okay. Let me not say we have street lights everywhere, because well, some places do not. But why can't we have street light? Why can't we have cameras everywhere that you could just pull up what's it called? You could just pull up an image of a particular place and just like, okay, this is what happened at so time. This is what you predict that at so time. This is when this crime happened at this crime scene, and you just pull up the video of it, and you can be able, because the rate of crime rate is alarming. It's alarming. It's scary. It's concerning. You have to look over your shoulders right now if you're out in public. Let's not even talk about the transportation system. If you even have your personal car, you're concerned that maybe you're parked somewhere or you're in traffic and someone does not bust your window open and just takes you out of the car. Or it's one thing. Even inside your house, you are concerned. You're locking all the doors. You have the burglaries. You have the security system. You have the cameras. We have a lot. We have a long way to go in Nigeria. And residents of Igbe Alegamo in Igbobo local government area of Ikorodu have raised the alarm over reported kidnappings and killings in the community. This was made known during a Save Our Soul protest held on Tuesday at the council secretariat and the palace of the monarch in the community. And then Ishekiri natives have shut down a 28,000 barrels per day oil production facility in Ogidigben, Warri Delta State. In a video released by TVC on Wednesday, hundreds of the natives were seen protesting at the entrance of the facility. So help us God. Well, you can be a part of the conversation by calling, texting, or sending a WhatsApp message to the number 0808 312 8618 is the number for you to call, text, or send a WhatsApp message. Or you can watch us live on YouTube, VOP 961 Abuja. VOP 961 Abuja. You can watch us right there. And Gbajabiamila missing as presidency release names of Tinubu's appointment to date. Gbajabiamila missing as presidency releases names of Tinubu's appointment to date. And then we also have Tinubu detribalized Nigerian, appointed 71 northerners, South 63. Presidency replies in Dume. Tinubu detribalized Nigerian and then appointed 71 northerners, South 63. Presidency replies Ndumi. And then we have Labour Party Obi Oti desperate to hijack party leadership structure. This is coming from Ibrahim. And then Wike masterminded emergency rule in Rivers. That George is the one saying this. And Ondo PDP publicity secretary resigns. Calls party leaders political bandits. That is a strong allegation. And then this other one says, it took me 1 year to decide to join ABGA in 2013. And this is coming from Soludo, Charles Soludo, Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State, says it took him a year to decide to join the All Progressive Grand Alliance ABGA in 2013. And then attackers of Boko's residents are familiar faces. This is coming from the district head. This particular comment is coming from the district head. The district head of Manguna in Boko's local government area, Alo Raymond, said the gunmen who recently attacked some communities in the district are familiar faces. Raymond said this during a peace meeting convened by the Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyode, the Chief of Army Staff, recently in Bokos. It says the gunmen attacked Hulti, Josho, Dafo, Manguna and other communities of the localities, and then more than 50 residents were killed, over 300 houses destroyed, and over 1,000 persons were displaced due to the attacks. And then also on 27 March of March, mourners were attacked during a wake keep, and 10 people lost their life as a result of the incident. The district head explained that the gunmen invaded the communities in daytime, unleashed mayhem on the peaceful residents. The attackers of our people are not faceless. They are people we know because they didn't mask their faces while carrying out the criminal acts. We have given their names to the security agencies and we believe necessary actions will be taken, he said. This is heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking. That somebody you know, it's just like your friend or your family member is betraying you. This is heartbreaking. Global oil prices down to lowest in 4 years as US-China tariff war escalates. Global oil prices down to lowest in 4 years as US-China tariff escalates. And then global crude prices crashed down by 6% on Wednesday as the tariff war between the United States and China escalated. Oilprice.com's data showed that WTI crude futures slumped by around $4.01 or 6.7% to $56.06 per barrel, while Brent tumbled to $59.33 per barrel as at the time of when this report was filed. Okay. In the Nigerian market, what is going to benefit us? Well, the difference is of course the same, because the price of fuel just needs to go down a lot, and that is what our concern is mostly. And then we have Naira for crude deal with Dangote refinery continues indefinitely. This is something that should have come to a conclusion already. Ishekiri natives shut down oil plant in Delta. Ishekiri natives shut down oil plant in Delta. Ishekiri natives have shut down a 28,000 barrel per day oil production facility, and of course in a video released by TVC on Wednesday, hundreds of the natives were seen protesting at the entrance of the facility. And then 21 months after, NDLEA abandons family of toddler killed by operatives in Delta. 21 months after, NDLEA abandons family of toddler killed by operatives in Delta. That is very, very concerning. That is very heartbreaking. And removing import duties on solar raw materials, a critical step for Nigeria's energy industrial future. And then we have new era for Nigerian energy and the rise of indigenous companies. And then we have more headlines pouring in this morning, and we can look into all of that. And then, will Fubara return as reverse governor? That is a very important question. That is a very important question that needs to be asked this morning. Okay, seeing other headlines. Of course, you can watch us live on YouTube at VUP961 Abuja, or you can call, text, send a WhatsApp message to the number 0808 312 is the number for you to call this morning, or drop a WhatsApp message. Traffickers using digital platforms to lure Nigerians. This is coming from the federal government. And then we say marketers experts welcome Naira for crude policy. And then NDIC to pay first tranche of liquidation dividends to Heritage Bank depositors in April. And then Sowore leads protests at fourth quarters, demands a Bitcoins outstar as IG. And then Nigeria begins e-visa policy implementation May 1. And then traffickers using digital platforms to lure Nigerians. And then Taraba, traditional ruler warns fishermen against use of chemicals and explosive that is going to harm a lot of people. So please, that should not be done in any part of the country. And then furniture makers in Kano count losses after fire got shops. And then federal government begins mandatory training for government agencies CEOs. When it comes to what's it called, mandatory training for CEOs, they should also, every establishment, I feel they should also take the responsibility of teaching people about gender-based violence and abuse, because in most organization, in most establishment, this is a very frequent issue. You have the right of workers being violated in the federal government setting and even in the private sector. This cannot be overemphasized. It should be taken seriously, and as such, it should be a mandatory training, retraining, education, and re-education of agencies and, of course, government parastatals, because it cannot be overemphasized. The rights of people, it's being abused always, so this cannot be overemphasized. All right, this is where we'll go for a quick break, and at 8 I'll be coming up with Jude Adegbe right here to be a part of the conversation. He'll be our analyst for this morning to give us details of most of the headlines, and of course we'll discuss. And of course, you can keep the number 0808 312 8618. You can keep that number, and you can keep it on the dial, or you can be on our YouTube. You can be on our YouTube, VUP961 Abuja, this morning. And of course, you'd be happy that you did. 96.1 FM, Voice of the People Radio. A very good morning to you in case you're just joining us. And if you have been with us, this is Voice of the People 96.1 FM right here in the city of Abuja. And we have been on the front page review this morning. And of course, we have looked at most of the headlines this morning. And we had Rufai Oseni join us at 7:30. And now I told you at 8 we have Jude Adegbe join us this morning to give us in total analysis of most of the headlines this morning. Good morning, Jude.
Good morning, Mason.
How are you doing today?
I'm very good. I'd like to say I'm on a positive note. I'm very good, but listening to headlines from Nigeria particularly is very, how do you say? It's very, very disheartening. Every single thing you hear, nothing sounds good. Nothing to be optimistic about, apart from the possibility of the fuel price reduction because of the crude for naira talks that is going on right now. But every other thing is just sad and depressing. Like why won't we hear news like and be glad and be happy and be optimistic? There's something to look forward to. There's a reason to celebrate. Everything has to be gloomy. Like, what's the trajectory here? Is it a fault of sensationalization by the press, or is it that how bad our society has deteriorated to?
Well, if that's a question for me, I would say it might likely be worse than that, but because there are a lot of crimes, a lot of cases, a lot of issues that are not being reported, and you see, it is concerning. It is concerning most of the time, but yeah. Fuel prices may fall as FEC renews naira for crude oil deal. That's a headline that, well, should we be happy?
Sometimes the coconut, because you see coconut on the tree shouldn't make you happy. It's when you have it at hand that should make you happy, because we've seen a lot of promises and a lot of things that looks like would give us something to be glad about, that we should be optimistic about, that never comes.
Yes,
this is not the first time, but 1+1. If we trade crude for naira, it is going to eliminate the bottleneck and every other problem that might arrive, cost that may also be incurred for seeking dollar to trade. I don't even understand why this is the conversation. Why then can't there be like an executive order and this thing is over with? Because it's literally a no-brainer. I've tried to see things from the other perspective, that okay, let's say, and why are we using dollar for this? Is because what can be more accessible in Nigeria than naira? I'm talking in terms of currency for trade right now. What are you hoping to achieve by even being on dollar for crude oil sales? We are trying to strengthen. We say we are trying to strengthen the naira. Our biggest economic generating trade that speaks for, like, should I say 90% of our economy, and that is being done in a foreign currency, and we say we want to strengthen the naira. Sometimes we should just be serious. As in, that's just the simple way to say it.
That's just the simple way to say it. All right. We also have this headline that says Naira and Niger dumps French, adopts Hausa as national language. The Niger military government has officially made Hausa the country's new national language, moving away from its colonial past where French played a central role. The change was announced in the new charter released on March 31, published in a special edition of the government's official journal. According to the document, the national language is Hausa and the working languages are English and French. Hausa is already the most commonly spoken language across Niger, especially in the Zender, Maradi, and Tauha region. Most of the country's population, about 26 million people, understand and speaks Hausa.
Okay, this is somebody speaking their native language in their country, and it's making headline news. Do you know how far away France is from Niger?
Coming to think of it.
Okay, so what did they say? They say colonialism has ended.
Yes.
So why are we having why is it why should we, if you want to keep it, you should. It's easy in a country like ours now, where there's going to be a lot of problem for us if we don't have a unified language that all of us can use. But if they say Hausa is already the widest spoken language in Niger, why can't they use their language? See, we have Shebi, Japan was also colonized. Yeah, they were. China was colonized at some point too. But they speak their language. They keep their culture and tradition. One of the things that's affecting us here is because we all of a sudden want to switch things that are alien. We have brought them in, and that is not how we are. That is not how we are programmed. We are our peculiarities. It doesn't align with our. We want to adopt this language as our national language, and whatever language and it works for them. See, what we should be looking at through is what works for what works. So because
but there are talks that it is not democracy. Democratically speaking, they are not supposed to be under military rule, because that is the essence of democracy. And of course, we saw where the president of Burkina Faso came out to say, if a particular nation wants to work, there is no nation that, okay, in quotes, he says there is no nation that has functioned or grown under democracy.
A lot of people is going to jump up and say, why should now let's look at it from this perspective. A moment ago I was complaining about the headlines in Nigeria. Everything is just negative, saddening, disheartening, so deplorable, talking about deplorable, and things looking as if they're going to get worse. But we've been hearing news from Burkina Faso. It's always one good thing to the other. Oh, they are surpassing these countries at this. Oh, they have opened this one. Oh, they are doing this for the first time. Oh, they are okay, and they are under military regime. One of the best countries that have ever been, but if you use the indices for development and the rest of them, if you remove democracy, and if you say remove democracy and use any other indices like standard of living, it has to be Libya. Was that done under democracy? Capital letter, no. So they said, and democracy must be good, and they will have to bring in democracy and root out the dictator, and they took out Gaddafi, and you know what happened? They literally went, the country literally nosedived, and I'm very sure they probably be wishing that they could go back to the way they were. They are now in democracy, aren't they? They're also looking at every other country in Nigeria. This democracy, what is it? What is it even? Because you say democracy, the process, the entire process, then are the people happy after all said and done? You're saying democracy. Did it Burkinabes, did they complain to you? we should be truthful and human also.
Other people outside Burkina Faso and places like Niger have said that most of the news that is being portrayed about this particular place is because they are under military rule. The messages and the information that is being put out is as a result of being controlled. It is controlled press. That is why we are seeing it as the way it is. That a country that is not democratically that is not in democracy cannot say they are enjoying or having.
Okay, so you are going to give the dog a bad name if you want to kill it.
Okay.
We need to see the proof of that. There need to be proof of that. The people are not complaining. You see them. We see them on social media. Like yes. I follow accounts from Burkina Faso. I listen to their, sometimes you just go through their comments to see what they are saying. Those people are not complaining. It's not like Nigeria, where you look into our space on social media, where you get to interact with people like real time, and what you see is I don't need to tell anybody what you see on Nigerian social media space. We are cruise people, so we make light of everything. But you know where everything is coming from. It's from a place of complain and complain and complain and complain and complain and complain. There's the 30-day rant challenge. There's all this protest or that protest being planned or being tear gassed. It's not funny anyway.
All right.
Yes, but so that is they could say that, but you cannot. You give the dog a bad name to hang.
To hang it, obviously. All right, with that, we're going to go for a quick water break, and after that, we'll be looking at more headlines and, of course, looking at them in details. And I'm sure you are staying tuned. You can be a part of the conversation by calling, texting, or sending a WhatsApp message to, or even a voice note to the number 0808 312 8618. I call the number again, 0808 83128618 is the number. Or you can join us live on YouTube. Subscribe to the handle VOP961 Abuja. Subscribe, and of course you'll be receiving a notification anytime that we are on here, of course, to give you a voice. Stay tuned and stay locked with us. Don't go anywhere. 96.1 Voice of the People Radio right here in the city of Abuja. Everywhere you are, anywhere you are, let us know how clear our frequency is over there and join the conversation. And of course, we've been looking at the headlines or the stories making the rounds this morning in every part of the country and also internationally. The stories making the round, and of course how it will affect us. All right, we have been on this with Jude Adegbe, and he has been doing justice to most of the headlines. So in case you're just joining us and you don't know how to reach us, or you want to be a part of the conversation at any point in time of the show, you can call us on 0808 312-8618, or you can join us live on YouTube, VOP 961 Abuja. Subscribe and of course leave the notifications on anytime we are on. You are with us because you are the most important factor in this conversation. All right. We looked earlier to see that of course Niger has adopted Hausa as the new national language, and of course they said for official purposes, of course English and French of course would still be in use, but the national language of Niger right now is Hausa. And then we have another headline this morning that says 28,000 BPD oil terminal shut down, shot by protesters, and protests over proposed redelineation of the word by the Independent National Electoral Commission across multiple communities escalated yesterday in Warri, and protesters urged INEC to pull the brake on its proposal in the interest of the southwest local government area of the state. And 28,000 barrels per day oil installation formerly operated by Shell Petroleum Development Company, now managed by Resonance Africa Energy Holdings, was shut down by protesters.
Quickly, we are complaining that we are going out to borrow money every day, and I'm not going to go into the reason why they are protesting, but I'm very sure they must be aggrieved. They must be aggrieved.
Of course.
Maybe are very. There's something that they're not okay with. Me, I'm always up for negotiations and everybody coming to the table. Let's have talks. I'm always against protests. Like we discussed and we've already made clear. Protests doesn't necessarily have good effect on particularly the economy and things that goes on people's life generally, the free flow of daily activities.
Yes.
At this point they say 28,000
barrels per day,
and that's summing up to, like, let's see, 20. They say crude oil is at the all-time low right now in a very long time, at $50 per barrel.
Yes.
10 times 28, we're talking like $1.8 million US dollars per day, which translates into like 2.1 billion dollar per day, naira per day. So Nigeria will be losing 2.1 billion naira every day if that facility is bad and shut down, and it's not in operation. Shouldn't we look into that like very, very fast and stop losing the money? I'm not saying we are not losing money from other quarters anyway, but this one should not add again now. You cannot be crying that you don't have money and you are throwing the one that is in your possession away. Federal government, if you are listening, which I know you are, you should be fast to look into that. Let's get that grievances cleared out so the production of crude oil can get back in that facility as fast as possible, so we don't end up throwing away what we are looking for.
Well, that is a very serious conversation. Well, they said this is an attempt to annihilate the Shekiri people in their homeland. A protester declared, accusing INEC of yielding to certain forces to shortchange the ethnic group. The protesters from Warri South, Warri Southwest, and Warri North local government areas alleged that the redelineation of undermines their demographic and political realities. And leaders of Okere Uhobo Kingdom in Wari South raised strong objections to the INEX proposal, claiming it's grossly underrepresented. It underrepresented their population and politics here, politics there, and these are conversations that need to be looked into. Aside 2027, the federal government and all other stakeholders should understand that there is more that needs to be done. The people should be your first priority. And just like former President Muhammadu Buhari enjoined the political leaders right now, he told them that it should their concern right now should be towards the people, their interests. They should keep their personal interests aside and to be more concerned about the people, and every other thing should come secondary, and the interest of the people should be primary. And then we have 58% of youth unemployment national security threat. This is coming from Cali. It says 58% youth unemployment national security threat. The group chief economist and managing director of research and trade intelligence of Afri Bank, Dr. Yemi Kale, has warned that rising youth unemployment in Nigeria is a time bomb and should be considered a national security threat.
Rising cost of living, the naira losing its value, and people not having what to do. He's very correct. I don't think there's a better way to say it. It should be considered a national security threat. I agree with him 100%. My reason is very, very simple. We know what the projection is going to be like. We know what this is going to lead to. I think any baby can pull him off his mother's bosom and he will tell you yes, he's correct. The reason why I will say this is because if people are unemployed, they say the idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Yeah.
Somebody is unemployed. How is he going to get money to get by? That's why you see kidnapping everywhere. That's why you see the national endemic of fraud. Everybody is trying to get money from every other means. And even the workforce, the labor market, how encouraging is it? The remuneration process. It's a struggle for a lot of employers to meet up with the minimum wage, which cannot buy a bag of rice, which cannot meet the minimum wage, which cannot meet our minimum basic requirements. Yeah, and you have families relying on that. It's not encouraging for young people. They look at that, they'll be like, I cannot come and go and be doing all this one. We need to secure our financial. You need to get financial security. So they go into whatever means to get that. Some of them might be smart enough to go into businesses. A lot of them might not have that patience, which is going to cause like major problems for us in the future. So Dr. Yemi Kale is correct. It needs to be looked into as fast as possible by the people who are in positions to do that. And another way, that's he's from Afri Bank. What are the incentives that are being put in place for people to do businesses? They should amplify those, because we know the employment market is not going to accommodate everybody, and countries and economies do better when the people do business.
Absolutely.
We are a country of a huge population which is not put into use. 59% of unemployed youth. If you add underemployed, underpaid, or wrongly employed, people that are not working at their full potential, you know that we should be talking about at least 90%.
Absolutely. And there is this book by a Chinese writer that says women lift economies. I feel not to support just the women. But I can tell you for a fact that if more women are put in places that would in places of if women are encouraged to do business, the economy of any nation is going to thrive, because I feel they would function and do better in that aspect. So why don't we look into the aspect of lifting women in, and if we lift women, women lift economies. That's
As it stands right now, nobody can underplay the role of women right now in the current Nigerian
economic situation.
Yes, because let's be truthful. They keep the ball rolling from, and you can't. There's nothing you are going to do to keep them away. Because they know that they have to be supportive at home, they have to look after their kids, they have to look after their children, and let's face it, most businesses are run by women.
Yes.
So Afrin Bank, Dr. Yemi Kale should also look at empowering the women. I'm doing woman not human rights work right now. So later you know come and go.
All right. All right. If you're just joining us, this is 96.1 Voice of the People Radio this morning, and of course we are still looking at the front pages and of course stories making the round this morning, and of course we have John joining us this morning to be a part of the conversation and of course give us highlights of stories making the round this morning. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Good morning. This very fine morning. I'm glad of you to join us this morning. And of course, I'm sure you've heard most of the headlines we were talking about this morning.
Yes, interesting stories across the front pages of our national dailies. Most of them not so new. The week started quite eventfully, and in the last couple of days, most of those developments have determined the trajectory of several developments across the polity, which is reflective of the front pages of our national dailies.
Okay, and of course I've seen you. I'm sure you have come across this headline that says Niger dumps French, adopts Hausa as national language.
Yes, quite an interesting development, but not surprising as well, because when you consider the developments that have happened in the last couple of months, especially with the Confederation of Sahel states made up of Niger, Burkina Faso, and if I'm not mistaken,
Guinea.
One of the other West African states that was francophone, and if you've noticed, most of them are gradually shifting from the narrative that we've known them to be over francophone related. They are cutting ties with their former colonial master, which is give credence to the reason why we share close proximity with Niger, but otherwise, and if you remember, under the dispensation of former President Muhammadu Buhari,
Yes.
Nigeria and Niger had very strong ties. So, as I said, not a surprising development.
Okay, and of course, in relation to that story, we heard few days ago. We heard few days ago where the president of Burkina Faso said no country has developed on the.
And I expect that.
Absolutely.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So in that context, there is nowhere that the media is completely and absolutely free. Of what is going on in their country. And for God's sake, as I said, why must we subject ourselves to the thought process of other countries? We are supposed to be independent nations. If people decide that military rule is what will, in Nigeria, last year, there were suggestions by citizens, especially I remember in August last year, where the videos were all everywhere, where citizens were calling the military to take over. So
Absolutely.
whether we like it or not, we need to begin to tell ourselves some home truth. The constitution we have today was born of the military. That which is the excuse many people have said, oh, it wasn't collectively adopted by Nigerians, it was brought by the military. But we continue to use it. We have continued to amend it. Virtually all the structures and systems that we have today were done by the military. The politicians have come, they've inherited those systems and structures, and they've more or less destroyed them. They politicize them. So please tell me one thing that works under the so-called democracy that we talk about. Look, I gave you an example of China. Has anybody taken their time to remember when nobody reckoned with China? No. But today China is a world power. America, Donald Trump comes out with his tariff and China doesn't even blink an eye, and instead hits back with their own. Exactly. Yes. So that is what we are talking about. Where is Nigeria? But because we who claim to be the giant of Africa, we are always going cap in hand. As we speak, Mr. President is in France. What exactly is he doing in France when he has tons of issues to deal with? He's in France. The vice president went to Senegal. Who's running the country? You know, so these are issues and questions we need to ask ourselves, and these are clear indications that what we call in, and let's be honest to ourselves, we don't have a democracy under the current administration. What we have is authoritarianism. That is what we have.
All right.
Where a government cannot listen to objective criticism and opinions, and immediately you speak against the government, or you criticize any action of the government, they send their attack dogs after you.
That is very concerning. And speaking of the things that the government the Nigerian government have not paid attention to, we have the aspect of insecurity, and we have Governor Mufwang of Plateau State saying that Plateau killings are genocidal and they are sponsored. And that is the conversation coming from him over there. He said even down to the recent killings, he said they are genocidal and alleging that they are sponsored. So these are things that the federal government have not really looked into.
They will not look into it because it is not important for them. I mean, it was easier to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State where there were no issues, there was no crisis. Yes, there was a power tussle between, what every Nigerian expected was the president to have called his Minister of Federal Capital Territory and put him at bay and say, allow the elected governor of Rivers State to run his state. But instead, because he had made a promise, it's in the media space, that he would take hold of Rivers State for the APC. He has allowed the Minister of the FCT and former governor of the state to run the state aground. Imagine a Supreme Court giving an order to a sole administrator, and the sole administrator blatantly ignores a court order. We have become rule of law. In Nigeria today, the rule of law does not exist. Gives you a stay order and you ignore it. This is a illegal occupant of government house in the name of a sole administrator, and we say we are practicing democracy. I don't know at the end gotten to the point of the dollar and all of that. So every attempt on the part of government should have been focused at Sharan cap in hand to IMF, same thing, and they refused. They did a complete 360. Today they have some of the all born out of corruption. We have a corrupt system. We as a people are naturally corrupt, and until we are able to purge ourselves of that virus, that demon called corruption, we will always continue to have conversations like this.
All right. Thank you so much, John, for joining the front page review this morning. Back to you, Jude. Jude Adigbe right here with me, and thank you so much for joining this morning on the front page review. It was a pleasure having you on here.
Always a pleasure also for me.
Oh, all right. And this is where we close the curtains right here on the front page review on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. You can watch us live on YouTube, VOP 961 Abuja. Subscribe and of course stay glued. You would receive a notification anytime we are on there, or you can call, text, or send a WhatsApp message to the number 0808 312 8618 is the number 618 is the number for you to stay glued, or contact number for you to stay glued, or contact VOP 96.1 FM in Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us, and from anywhere you are in any part of the city of Abuja or anywhere you can hear us from, you could